Now we are
Hi.
and then I was talking something when it started and I don't know what now. But anyway, okay, Nat. So hello. I don't know what time it's in whatever
It's
place.
happy hour time.
Whatever place you are right now, but here is 6 p.m. and I'm just getting my vacation, so I'm so happy. It's really a happy hour for me. And I will just introduce a little bit, not before we start. So someone is here. Just admit here. It's Denise. Hi, Denise.
Hi.
And I just want to introduce a little bit about what we are going to talk in this happy hour and introduce also Natalia. And I'd like to start saying that I know that we need gender balance in our society because we need this, right? And we also need the freedom of the feminine. And the truth is that in all this work world, it is still operating in a totally masculine perspective. And that's why so many women are chasing the masculine rewards and ignoring the things that are really drive them and give their lives meaning. And I see that most women fall into two camps. They are either in the collapse of the feminine, that's it's no, not me, I'm the other, but for those women that are in the collapse of the feminine, meaning they are kind of hiding, waiting people and clients to discover them. They are really good at what they are doing, but really bad about putting themselves out there, and so they're struggling financially. And the other group are the women who are totally in the masculine. I have this really big problem for me, and women that are being aggressive and trying to make things happen and chasing power and money and going against their inner feminine. That's really me, and that's how I got into depression 2 times, and really I just ended burning out. And the feminine, I would like to say that we are talking about the feminine, the masculine, and it's not exclusively to one gender. We are here, we speak of the feminine and not women exactly, because we believe that we all have the feminine energy and the masculine energy too. And in our society today, the feminine values are blamed and recriminated. And I did this for a long part of my whole life. And we actually want society, as we actually want to live in a society that the feminine values and the feminine energy, they are lived and celebrated and they are balanced. But we need to understand what is the feminine energy, what are the feminine values. And to talk about this freedom of the feminine, I bring here to recognize with us Natalia. And Natalia is a leadership and entrepreneurship mentor and international producer with more than a decade work in 12 countries. And I met Natalia, I think last month. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Through Changemaker Exchange.
Yeah.
That was, I think, like the end of March, 28th of March.
Yeah, I'm so happy with my vacation that I forgot already all the dates.
Okay.
But welcome, Natalia. I'm so happy to have you
so
here.
much.
And you can introduce a little bit yourself.
No, I want to say thank you very much, Clara, because you have a very lovely energy, and all the work that you're doing is definitely inspiring as a fellow entrepreneur and also women empowerment advocate. And I'm very excited to share with you this evening. Or I mean, here is still afternoon. It's 4 p.m. in Mexico City time. Puerto Rico is 5 p.m. And here in Brazil is 6 p.m. So thank you so much to everybody that's tuning in. I love this topic. I feel like what you were describing kind of mirrors a bit of my journey as well. First as a woman, second as a journalist, and then as an entrepreneur. And you know, when I started becoming a professional, I went through the masculine way. Like that was the way forward. And I became even like a workaholic, and it became something that was not I wasn't able to find power anywhere else beyond work. I couldn't find an identity. I couldn't create an identity besides what I was working on. Any project, any documentary, any company that I was based on, I based my value on those, you know, like goals and successes and milestones. So I'm very excited to share here with you how you had your moment of impact, and I also have my own moment of impact where we figure out there's more to life than this. And I find very incredible what you were sharing about these two types of feminine energy that you have discovered, because for me it was the heroine's journey by Maureen Murdoch that actually created like a before and after, because I could find myself going through the different stages beyond the hero's journey, which was from Joseph Campbell, understanding, hey, where's my feminine and why do I feel like my feminine is like going to the deep end and visiting Hades and staying on the bottom of the sea. Like, why do I feel like that's so negative, and why did I wanted to escape from it rather than push through? And I find incredible that we get to talk about this, and you know, it became part of my journey as an entrepreneur, as a mentor, empowering other women, but not through the word in English empowering, but rather understanding that there's more than just feminine or than just masculine. Is learning to balance both. And everybody has different skills and different personalities, and it depends on people's different characteristics.
Yeah, that's true. And to start explaining a little bit more about what we are talking about, I'd like you to tell us a little bit, Natalia, if you can, what is feminine, what are the feminine values? How can we recognize them? Because, for example, I think many women, many people actually, above all genders, we are kind a little bit confused. What is exactly the feminine? Because a lot of people just say feminine leadership, but they don't understand what's the feminine. So if you can tell us a little bit more about what is the feminine that we are talking about.
Yeah, I love to. I find it important to understand that everybody, regardless of our gender or our identity or our sex, we all have feminine and masculine energies in different stages and in different skills developed through time. So there's not a specific set of skills that everybody has the feminine energy because they're all empathic. Like there are several traits that are connected to the feminine energy, stereotypically associated to femininity, and there are other traits stereotypically associated to the masculine energy. This is an ancient knowledge that comes from different cultures. This is not something like Western way of thinking. This comes from Indian, from Hinduism, to even like Buddhism, different types of cultures that understand different or give meaning to these types of energies and energies expression. The feminine energy is the one connected to the intuition, the world where we actually connect with the self, while the masculine energy is connected to the ego. And it's important to say that in our society, we have demonized the ego as if that's a bad thing. But actually, the ego, in a sense, serves a purpose in our lives. It serves our self-preservation as people, and also to another degree and extent, we can go talk about the ego in itself. But it actually helps us express who we are and understand that we are connected, but also we are individual. We are a body, and this is important. The masculine and the feminine. The feminine energy is often associated with stereotypically feminine traits like empathy, intuition, collaboration, inclusion, oneness. It is a very subtle energy, and it's often oppressed in our society and Western world. We're going to talk a bit about that. But the masculine energy is very goal driven, is action oriented, is mostly connected to individualism, is connected to drive, confidence. Most leadership or greatest leaders that we know around the world have to exercise masculine energy in a sense. And that's, for example, confidence is a key essential in any leader. And that's a masculine energy associated stereotypically to this specific trait. Um, Before we go forward, I want to express that there's a misconception about feminine leadership. It's taking form in the United States and growing so much through the concept of feminine leadership stereotypically associated with feminine energy. But here in Latin America and in other parts of the world, whenever we're referring to feminine leadership, we talk about female leadership. It's like we are creating like a synonym that feminine leadership can only be exercised by women, but women can be masculine leaders and they can exercise macho mindset and macho culture as well, regardless of them being feminine leaders. So I always make this distinction because when we are trying to harness the power of the feminine energy, we often forget that there's masculine that needs healing as well. And whenever we work on the two energies like dance, I like to see like the yin yang. We often see that
Yeah, I love this. Yeah. I know Denise, and we really love this concept of the yin yang, and that we are just
learning how to dance is incredible. And I feel like there's two main threads to understanding how to balance both. The first one is that the masculine energy, if we don't heal it within ourselves, we probably will dominate our feminine energy expression. So that is often seen in leaders that want to be empathic, but somehow they end up being like a bit of a tyrant. Or when they are giving orders, they're like, oh, poor you. Oh, let me listen to you, all your problems. But hey, we need to deliver this by that time. Like very deadline. I'm listening, but, you need to do your shit, like, and that's the masculine trying to take over of the feminine energy within that leader. The other thing that we find is the feminine wounded here in Latin America and in other parts of the world. That's like a very big problem that we are facing. I was just watching an interview with Samaya, who is like a woman, a medicine woman in the Andes, and she talks about the womb of Latin America, how the Kundalini energy is, harnessed here more than ever due to recent times changing. And one of the things that she was expressing was about the feminine wounded here. And whenever we talk about the feminine wounded, we feel like that's depression or that's hurt or that's, how is it? Pain.
Mhm.
However, the feminine wounded can be expressed also through dependency. dependency, through the way that we look at the state, the way that we seek external validation all the time from bosses, from authorities, from governments. All the time we're seeking outside because our power is disconnected. And when you're working with feminine leadership development, one of the things that I like to talk in Spanish is liderazgo evolutivo, no? Or evolutionary way of approaching leadership, rather than talking about feminine leadership to avoid any misconception. Because in the evolution, we can find that it's not about, feminine power only. It's the feminine, the structure of the masculine, for it to flow easily into our lives, for us to be creative, for us to feel like the force within us is unleashed. But it is unleashed through limits. It is unleashed without overpowering other people or trying to dominate other people in the process. And it is, as you can see, a very complex issue. And we are all learning, I think. But I would like to know more about your own journey, Clara, because I find that incredible, the freedom of the feminine.
Yeah, actually, I understood that when I did a course, actually a project called Iris, the freedom of the feminine, and was the first time that I heard this concept of feminine values and the feminine energy. I was always into the Oriental religions, and actually I studied about the interreligious dialogue, and I love this
That's amazing.
this knowledge to know that we need to go there and try to find, because sometimes I see that we are losing this kind of ancient knowledge, especially here in Latin America. For example, I know that we have so many cultures that talks that talk about that, but we don't know. And yeah, I was just looking to understand how I was behaving in my university, in my job. And then I understood that I have a really high masculine energy. That means that I'm always trying to do it, to turn into action, to do the things, to do the things fast. And this kind of the concept of lean startup. So I was always running and doing the things, and I want to be rich, I want to change the world, I want to do all those things. And then I just burn out. I got into depression again, and I had depression before because of other things, and I have this tendency. But then was the time that in therapy I found that I needed to balance my values, the way that I believe, to that actually I do the things. So instead of just being focused on do the things and taking action, I needed to ground. I needed to feel um, actually to feel my intuition, and this is really hard for me. I was just talking this week with my therapist that when I'm so rational that when I'm thinking about the intuition, and when I'm trying to feel the intuition, I'm just saying to me and saying to my brain that, oh, my brain is doing this math, so I have this kind of feeling because I had this experience before, and then I have this bias, that's why I'm feeling this. And then I don't let the intuition and the energy flow. uh, and this is this is really difficult to do. But when I found this concept, and when I understood that I am behaving this way, that I need to balance my energies, I need to balance the way that I behave in business. For example, sometimes I'm too aggressive. The way that I talk, it's too aggressive. The way that I talk with my husband is too aggressive, and it's kind of uh, here in my house, I have a high masculine energy, and Arthur has a high feminine energy, and we are just trying to. Here in my house, I have a high masculine energy. I'm just gonna mute here. We had a double audio here, but Anyway,
But that's amazing because you're complementing each other. And I
yeah,
think that that's something that has become demonized because we are right now living in very polarizing times where you're either masculine or you're either feminine. You cannot be both. And if you're both, then you're a freak because you should decide whether or not you're, more masculine or more
I'm
feminine.
totally a freak. I'm totally.
But
But
it's
yeah,
not about decision. I mean, it plays a part. There are several things that play a part. Regardless of these preconceived notions, there's personalities. There are people that are more extroverted and more, and more introverted than others, and there are people that are, from different zodiac signs and have different traumas from their childhood or have a specific way of behaving as leaders in front of other people. And I think that, it's as all the archetypes, even from branding and from startups and all that, like we cannot be a one time or a one person as if we're fixed, like we all have different layers of our personality and we will harness some of them when situations arise, and maybe through the road we are rediscovering some or learning and growing. And I think that's the beauty of life. You
yeah,
know what, I hear you and I feel like very connected because at first it was very scary to feel. I'm getting goosebumps because it sounds like, wait, why is this scary? I mean, it's scary to feel without rationalizing the feeling. Letting the feeling flow through you is very scary, but that's a way of the feminine to express itself. And sometimes in the first beginnings, for those of you that are perhaps learning how to tap into the feminine energy, that will happen to you. You will feel uncomfortable. You will want to scream. You will want to cry without no reason. You will start, breaking down and figuring, am I actually losing power? Am I, becoming someone else? What is wrong with me? Am I becoming crazy? And I think that the precious moment of what you were saying was this part of when you stop rationalizing, stop trying to figure the feeling out, let it flow, let it be what it needs to be. And then one day close the tap water and say, okay, with this feeling, because that's also about emotional intelligence. There's like an element here that needs to be involved, because if not, we just become like a flood of emotions, and then the masculine energy is missing in our lives. So it's needed. It's like the masculine is the container for the feminine to flow in. But the container can become restrictive. And when we are leading businesses and we are launching startups, we can constrict the flow. It's easy because we are measuring our success through all these milestones, all these goals, metrics, according to the Harvard Law Review, like all these incredible like publications. Someone that I follow, this big coach, said that if I did not make 100K this year, then I'm a failure and I need to put my pants on and, like try to reach that goal, etc. And he's like, yeah, but at what cost?
yeah. No.
We
And
don't ask ourselves that.
I remember as exactly the day that I said I was living in the Philippines with 17 girls, and there I needed to feel some feminine energy because so many girls together. And I remember that I usually don't, at that time, I didn't cry a lot. Okay, I didn't cry actually because my mom raised me that girls do not cry. So it was not the boys. In my house was the girls. So, Clara, you should not cry. And I was raised like this. And when I was in the Philippines, I remember that I really needed to cry, but I the tears they were inside and I couldn't let the tears just go out. And I remember that Ana Clara was here and the Instagram, and I remember that I said to her, Clara, I need to learn how to cry. And then it was
Wow.
hard, really. And then yeah, I had my moments, and then I was just at that time I remember that I really learned to cry, and I really learned how to let my energy just flow. Really, it was flowing because I was crying for no reason. I was just crying because I had a lot of tears inside. I have a lot of feelings that was just inside myself, and I needed to let them go. And it was the time that, for the first time, I said to myself, Clara, you can cry. And maybe I know that many boys they feel this way, and actually many women they feel the other way, that they cry too much. But that's what you said, that we need to balance those things, and we need to balance this also in the business. Today I had an interview, and the interview asked me when was the time that the challenges in the business, these things from interviews. And for me it was, I am too aggressive, so maybe I need to step down a little, and just try to be more sensitive, try to trust my intuition also in the business, because this is important to feel the emotions and to feel the people. We are so
We know. There's a
yeah,
hunch.
yeah,
And we
but and yeah, it's just to balance also in our life, so in our house, but also in our business. And yeah, I'm learning this. But actually it was just a question here, why I had this difficult to embrace my feminine, and why we don't celebrate this. Because what I hear is that if you cry, for example, or if you are too sensitive, you're just so girly, and we don't know, you don't know how to grow. But on the other hand, if you are too masculine, you just burn out. So why we don't celebrate the feminine energy like we celebrate those masculine values? And I don't know if you have any thoughts about that, Natalia.
I don't think that we are celebrating either. I don't think that we are celebrating the masculine. I think that we are embracing the masculine, like to get ahead, but we are not cherishing the masculine for what it can give. It's just like how the way things are. We are not actually thinking through, hey, I did good today, goal driven, like this is good. Like we don't pat ourselves in the back whenever we achieve necessarily a milestone, because often this milestone, like, yeah, but there's still a road ahead, yeah, but there's still work, but there's not another dream. This milestone is not enough in itself. It needs to lead to something else, like the house is still not built yet, so there's an unsatisfaction that continues mining the masculine energy. So either if we are achieving goals, we are not necessarily cherishing them. I started wondering, how can we like actually cherish the feminine and the masculine? And I feel the first invitation is to get to know ourselves. And is a time consuming task. It's not something that will happen from day to night. You need to have,
Homework, it's
maybe
our
start, yeah,
homework.
maybe start your journal and start writing your thoughts down and start doing all that. And start reflecting upon, what is it that I actually feel good at and what doesn't feel good at. And we know, for example, the feminine energy and the masculine energy, order and give. Feminine energy, allow and receive. Is like the laws of universe.
Mhm.
So if things are not ordered in our business, in our lifestyle, in our lives, etc., or if we don't give orders, which is like part of the leadership in business, um, and we don't give what we are asking to get, then that masculine is incomplete. Like we feel like there's something lacking. while in the feminine side, and I think that we all women have a very strong problem here. Because when we enter the business world, we are asked to give, I think, probably 3 times more than men. We're always asked to prove ourselves, prove our worth. I mean, depending on the different cultures, I'm not trying to homogenize here because I
Yeah,
know
but
that
here in
some,
Latin America, I think it's all
yeah,
the same. Yeah, but at least in
and
Latin America, it's a
yeah.
common sense.
I know in Latin America, that's like a similar patterns that we can find, but I cannot homogenize for all the people around the world. And even in Latin America, there are like social class and
Yeah.
different niche and all that. So what I've found and what I've seen through my own experience is that we are having problems allowing and receiving, allowing ourselves to be authentic, allowing ourselves to be enough to decide what our rules are, and allowing ourselves to receive, because we even like that's like innate in us, we want to give. It's like, yeah, take, you need help, here I can help you, and you need guidance, here call me at 11 o'clock at night, it doesn't matter, I don't sleep, I can always answer your call. Like, like we're always on demand, but we are not very good when we are engaging in the entrepreneurial world. We're not very good at actually sitting back and saying, hey, it's time for me to receive. Hey, I appreciate you saying to me, thank you. Because here in Spanish, we have this say, like someone tells you gracias, and you say de nada.
Mm-hmm.
No, like, why don't you say thank you back? Like someone's appreciating you, take it, thank you, you're welcome, like as appreciate it, accept the thank you. Don't just say, oh no, it's nothing. Yeah, it is something. They're acknowledging the worth of what you did or how you make them feel. And we have a lot of other problems receiving money, problems feeling worthy, problems receiving praise and recognition. Though we are seeking it all the time, we have a problem receiving it because we are not taught to believe in it. We are disbelievers of our own capacity. And I think, and to address the elephant of the room, is the patriarchal mindset playing in the entrepreneurial and business world, ecosystems, or whatever it's called, is through hierarchy, and it is through misogyny, or the expression of macho culture, which is even women that engage in the entrepreneurial minds and in the entrepreneurial world can start behaving as inferior to men, and that's an internalized macho culture that we don't often address and call, because it's easier to talk about, yeah, be empathic and the power of vulnerability, because Brené Brown is trendy and all that, and Michelle Obama is deep listener, and we can start talking about all these great figures and not understanding why our lives aren't getting better when we start becoming more empathic and when we start becoming more deep listeners. We still have a mess in the way that we lead. We don't feel confident in our leadership. And it's this macho culture internalized that we don't know how to tackle it. We don't know how to work through it in order to start cherishing.
Yeah, it's rooted in our culture. I mean, it's hard to change a culture because it passed so many years that we are living in this way, and even though we have great a great reference, we have role models already, and but still it's still hard for us that uh, we are up there every day, and actually we just have this unconscious bias that's it's rooted and it's there for all of us, and it's hard to break those barriers. It's right. It's hard to smash the patriarchy, as the
And
t-shirt
it's hard because we feel like smashing the patriarchy is outside. It's through the government or the state. It's gonna fall someday if we burn it down. But the thing is, it lies within us. It's in our mindset. And it's like Neo from the Matrix. Like that's like who are you fooling? The Matrix is not outside. You're creating it and reproducing it all the time. And just to encourage some people out there so they don't feel like, oh my god, everything's doomed. We're talking about the freedom of the feminine. Where's the free in that? It seems like we're slaves. um, no, I find that one key aspect, I think, is corporate cultures. And when you start designing a corporate culture, I had this opportunity 3 years ago with Seaborne Airlines, which was like the top largest Caribbean carrier in 2017. It got shut down after Hurricane Maria because many islands airports were destroyed, and several losses of life and of money and everything. But we started designing the corporate culture, and that was for me the first time that I designed a corporate culture. And I didn't know how important were values in a business. I mean, you do the business plan and you do like strategic planning and all that, but when you start designing like consciously how your business operations, systems, processes, the way that people talk within one another, the way that people engage after work, like all the different aspects beyond just producing in the capitalist system, how they should ingrain the values of what the company stands for, how every employee or leader in a business is the best representative of that culture. Then you start figuring out, hey, feminine energy here plays a huge, huge part. First, in intuition. Yes, you said that before earlier, and I think that when designing the corporate culture, if we do it consciously, if we do it connecting with what our mind and our gut and our womb, because we have three brains, the womb has another memory. It holds the memories of our life and of all our creations beyond just babies. Like everything that we create is part and harnessed in the womb, even the things that we destroy. So that's part there. These are three brains. If we put them to work in designing a corporate culture, then we can start understanding who plays a part and who doesn't. Because what I first started understanding with human resources, which is another side of the business that we often don't talk about, because we are always like leading the operations and getting the metrics and getting the money in and the money out and paying people, but not actually recruiting people and the science and the psychology behind recruiting the best person to do the job. The best person can do the job, but personality also plays a huge part. Is this person a team player? Is this person someone that wants to or believes in the company? Is this a person that has similar goals or similar vision to what we stand for? Like, are we just recruiting the best for the best without asking for loyalty or asking for common sense or similarities? Are they gonna get along with the people that we already have on board? These are not questions that we often ask, because in these books about the lean startup and these books about masculine energy all the time, we don't care about people, we care about profits. And that's the freaking thing that's bad about the capitalist system, that is also harming us women, because we have a huge problem saying goodbye to people. We do. I mean, there are other women that are very cutthroat, and it's like, it's your time to go. But most of us, at least the ones that have colleagues and me myself, like I develop relationships with the people that I work with. And sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad, and it's hard to let them go. It's part of, different personalities. But
Yeah.
yeah, share with me your thoughts
No, no,
about
no.
this.
I was just remember now that last year I joined the village Women for Economy from the Economy of Francesco, and we had an activity that we just received this question: what if economy was a woman? What she would do? What should say? Like the empathy map for what if the economy was a woman. And it was amazing to do this exercise. Actually, I believe that we understood that what if the correct question, it was supposed to be, what if the economy was feminine, something like that, not specifically a woman, but anyway, we did this activity, and they said it was a brainstorm session, and they said that the economy, it would be more empathic, the economy would care about people, the economy would listen, and those are really values that we have in Be.Labs. And right now, while you were talking, I was just remember that we built Be.Labs in a Swedish basis, that Swedish culture that holds this concept of gender equality and of the feminine values and the feminine energy. And for us, it's really important to grow with people, to not only the people that we are offering our services, but also the people that are working with us. And last week, we had a meeting, and a new employee, she just said, let's do this team and let's build this. And I was so happy to hear that, because I felt that being a part of a team, it carries this feeling that we belong there, and we do it better. And it's not bullshit from the books, it's just that the feeling that we have of belonging somewhere. And this is really important. And for me, working in a Swedish based Swedish mindset, I don't know. I don't feel like is really hard to define, because Marcelo and Christian, they are really Brazilian and Swedish. But I understood that we need to learn how to listen people in a better way, like active listen, but also how to collaborate and how to share those concepts. Because, as you said, we learn how to build startups. I have so many books here, like design thinking, lean startup, and all those methodologies that we learn in our MBAs, we learn in our course, but we don't learn how to be empathic, for
Relate to
example,
one
or
another.
sorry.
The basics. We don't
Yeah,
learn how to relate to one another. We
exactly.
learn how to create a structure, but not how to make this structure come alive. And that's where we stumble a lot.
Mhm.
Because then we start reading that, becoming very like giving instructions and becoming very analytical about the process and the metrics, and have your profile of the people that you want to hire, and these are all the milestones and everything that you need to, you start losing warmth. You start losing life, energy, the chi, the whatever it's
Yeah,
calling.
it's like the glue here. I
Yeah,
like this analogy that we need to have a glue that are connecting everything. And that's why we started to think, how can we democratize futures, how can we futurize empathy, how can we bring this to the corporative, how can we bring this to Be.Labs, and we are doing it. So if you just take a moment and try to think, try to take this action. How can I bring this to my team? How can I bring this to my house? And this is really inspiring other people, because, for example, Arthur, he works in another company, and yesterday he was just having a webinar, talking about diversity, talking about inclusion, and talking about actually the feminine values. And I felt like, yeah, I'm learning this, and he's learning that, and he's sharing in his job, and I'm doing this within Be.Labs, and that's why it's so important to just actually raise awareness, but talking about this and try to read a little bit more and try to find other people that are talking about different methodologies. And for example, we built our methodology in Be.Labs, and we didn't only use the this lean startup methodology or those famous methodologies. We were really looking for the uh, how can I say that the the methodologies from the fringe, so from the margins. And this is really important, guys, because yeah, we have a lot to share, but we need to go there and find the knowledge, and try to embrace these different mindsets and these different things, and not the words that are just popular or famous and on the trend. Because this really bothers me, because sometimes it gets so trending that, I mean, it's just, I'm tired of, yeah,
Pressure
but
that we put in ourselves. Like, I think that we have not gained, not everybody and not everywhere, but like we have yet to learn as a collective consciousness how to detach ourselves from the trend and start discerning whether the trend is something that I want to follow or not, because everybody's doing it and therefore I should do it. And we have all these agendas of like sustainable development goals, and we have these agendas of entrepreneurial sustainable entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship, all that. And it's like all these pillars, they're guidelines, but they're not written on stone. And if you don't feel connected to anything like that and you want to do your own thing, go be a trailblazer. We need more trailblazers. We don't need people just reproducing a formula that they don't agree with. And I feel like that's missing so much in the sustainable and social entrepreneurship world. I mean, I've worked with women that, work in agriculture, that work with the ancestral wisdom of indigenous communities, and they feel all the time that they are chasing a rabbit and they cannot ever capture the freaking rabbit, because all the time they're trying to figure out how does this connect with the SDG XYZ? How can I get a grant for XYZ that follows like all these guidelines that I don't agree with, but I have to do it because of the money, because of the power, or because of the recognition of this prize, etc. It's like, is it really what you want? And oftentimes that not is not what they want. What they were actually wanting is a sustainable business, a business that has good and different revenue streams, but that actually is of service to people. They don't necessarily need to become the next Coca-Cola or the next ExxonMobil to become successful. For some women, success is actually being able to send products and services that, yeah, even if it's a small community, actually helps the community, not just,
I think not only for women, but for men too. I think for all people, we have our desires, and it's
And I think that's important that you said that acceleration, because I feel oftentimes in these conversations of gender equality, it's as if we're talking about women for women. And we don't bring men to the conversation. And we don't understand that about 95% of the recipients of money, seed, and accelerator and innovation
venture
money
capital,
goes to
everything.
men, doesn't go to women. There was this study here in Mexico by the University de Iberoamericana University here in Mexico that was shared with Ashoka Mexico. And this was a story about how male entrepreneurs, tend to first be the first ones to receive money, financial aid, to get their startups running, but also they are often encouraged to project their startup internationally, while women often receive only 5% of seed and accelerator money, venture capital money, and often, more than not, are encouraged to stay local. It's like women are actually interested in fixing problems of their communities rather than trying to go in this hero journey like Joseph Campbell of globalization. Let's conquer other people. That if we bring the colonial and post-colonial feminism, we can find some traces there that the imperialistic mindset has not left men, and it hasn't left the entrepreneurial system either. So that's like some conversation to have another day.
Yeah.
But I want to share something that I find very cool, and is to invite people not only to check the freedom of the feminine in your website, which I found incredible, your blog and the different interviews that you're doing, but also to start asking yourselves, what is it that you feel that you have, and what is it that you feel that you lack? And it's not to focus on the lack, but it's oftentimes we don't ask ourselves, what do we have? Where's the abundance in our life? Where is it that we overflow? Like, I find incredible in your example, for example, that you share that you have a high masculine energy. And that's okay, like, don't demonize it. It's like that comes natural to you. So you're an organizer, you're an action oriented person, and you make things happen. And I do the same, but in my case I'm a bit like I need to feel first, just to get the action running. If not, I'm that's probably not gonna do anything and just be paralyzed. We all are different, but there's the chakra system is connected to the business system as well. And when you were talking about this belonging, in corporate cultures, the people that we are leading, our teams, are often seeking to be accepted and seeking to belong somewhere. But I found that the biggest success, the people that feel most connected with the enterprise that they're working on, is the ones that feel like they are contributed to a higher purpose. They're not contributing to make money to the business. They're not contributing to make the leader become XYZ recognized in several countries. Like, they don't freaking care. They want to know that their work matters, and that the work that matters serves a higher purpose. And when you start going the routes of the chakra system in the business, if you build a strong root chakra for your business, then the other ones will start aligning. Understanding your values, understanding the pillars of what you do, what you offer to the world, can connect the tribe. Your team members are the tribe, and your customers will eventually become the tribe in itself, the ones who sustain in the business for continuing. Then you have the second chakra with the relationships. And it's the relationships not only with customers or with partners, but also with money. And we don't talk about it because it's like we always see money as this quantity thing, as this, mathematical equation, Excel sheet, and all that. It's like, where is it? I need a certain amount to be successful, to reach my goal for this quarter, and all that. And it's this hassle that scares money away, because money is a masculine energy, talking about feminine and masculine energy. But in order to receive money, you need to go through the feminine energy route, not through the masculine. Haven't you, like, the more that you work, yeah, the more you work, and the more money is it with you, probably is escaping you. It's repelling.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third chakra, and these are like the lower ones because I don't want to go like the full route, but the third one is the solar plexus. And it's often connected with the identity of the business, but also its personal power, its drive. And it's like fire in itself. If you don't have flames, air to fan the flames, the water, the relationships can, how is it, water down your fire. It's a balance. It's that. How can you have earth, which is the root, having your ground, building the relationships, and not letting the relationships eclipse your business, because then you're always harboring to other people's needs and you stop doing what you were meant to do because you're trying to fix other people's problems, and that's not your job in the business. It came here. Every business has a soul, and that's feminine energy as well. And to end this conversation is the freedom of the feminine is to, for me, is to actually engage in a wider perspective, not only through a man or women's lenses or any other person of different gender identity. Yes, it is important because it starts within every one of us. But the business itself has a soul, and the business itself has a dance of the feminine and the masculine. How free is the feminine there, and how harnessing is the masculine? Is it everything so automatized because now everything is like online? We need to like have everything automatized, that we lose the flavor of life, that we lose, the human connection, that we can see when something is a newsletter is written with love. We can actually feel a video that's being done with love, a video, a pose, or we know we connect.
Yeah, exactly. It was the first time that I heard. Every time that I talked with you, I learned something new. And today was the chakra in business. I didn't know this concept, and this is really awesome. I have a chakra book here. I think I need to read again to remember all the concept of the first into the seven chakra. But yeah, I would like to finish this happy hour asking if you have any books, any podcasts, something that you'd like to share with us, that something where we can find more knowledge, where we can learn about those things, about the feminine, about the feminine in business. So do you have anything that you want to share to us?
Yeah, the first book that I want to like invite everybody to read is The Heroine's Journey by Maureen Murdoch. For me, that book was incredible, not only through the lenses of psychoanalytics, because it's a Jungian analysis of the different archetypes that we embody on the road of external validation, and going out of the private life to the public life, and getting into the workforce and all that. But also, like, it explains very well all the different stages of depression and feeling like we fall from God's grace when we start wondering what our life meaning is, all that. That's the first one, and it talks about balancing the energies at the end. So I invite you to check that out. The other one is The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, which is a book basically engaging in different exercises and practices for you to reconnect with your creative side, with your part of the brain that, I don't know if it's the left or right, I forgot, but I don't know, that is about creativity and intuition and all of that. And it's a very fun book and a very inspiring one to read. In terms of business and moving forward in a very holistic way, um, I don't have a book. I feel
You
like,
should write.
yeah, I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, right. And I will ship here to
I'm
Brazil.
trying to find the soul of it though. There's a book called Soulpreneurs by Yvonne. I don't know the last name, but she died 2 3 years ago, and she's an Australian. She was an Australian author. She was a she was an entertainer producer, like a producer of events, events producer in Australia, very famous one. And she started a journey after producing concerts, etc., to heal herself from cancer. And that's how she became a wellness coach, and her life changed so much. But she wrote a marvelous book called Soulpreneur, like just like that. And it talks about how to develop clarity of vision, values, but from a holistic perspective. So I invite you to check that out. But yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. I'd like to share a practice that I'm doing. I have some magazines here that I read, it was just here. And then I started to create poems. And I'm just not erasing, but I'm just letting these the words that I don't want, and then it's
That's a lot of words.
yeah, and it transforms in a poem. So for example, this paragraph, I was just the poem that I wrote was, I think we can encourage society and stay safe again. And it's really nice because I'm just letting my energy flow, and I don't think too much. I just paint everything, and then I just let one word that I want to use, and then I'm creating poems with that. And this is a good exercise that I'm doing, and it's helped me to embrace my intuition and my
Colors work wonders, and I think that, you know, we often talk about journaling, and my psychologist was like, don't do journaling. I was like, why? I love to write. And it's like, because you spend all your freaking life writing. I'm a journalist, and I'm an entrepreneur, always writing emails and doing stuff, reading.
Yeah, but people here on the Instagram are saying that you should write a book ASAP.
Thank you so much. Definitely will consider it. But yeah, I think that what she encouraged me was to engage with painting and with other forms of expression that related to flow, but were not through the written word. And you know, it was through music, dancing, belly dance. I do belly dance and I love it. But you know, is the masculine in me is telling me all the time, you need to continue working. Don't do the belly dance. It's like we often lose track of pleasure, and it's this society and this pandemic, this pandemic that we are a bit down. And is if we work on what gives us pleasure, what makes you flow, ask yourself that. And if you don't know, hey, go to the bucket list websites and start going through all the lists and start, okay, I haven't tried painting. I'm going to try to do it next month. And I haven't tried to do dancing. Let me try to do it, you know, like start figuring out what works for you. Like
be an explorer and try to find your own path. And it changes. Sometimes you will like dance, and then other times you'd rather do a puzzle. It changes. I mean, it depends on our emotions. And I would like to thank you so much, Nat, to be here with us and to share your thoughts and your emotions and everything. Thank you so much. And thanks to everyone that were here, especially Denise. Thank you so much to be here. And yeah, we just finished the live here.